Welcome to yoga through Somerville Library. I'm Jen. I've lived in Somerville for 15 years and been teaching just as long as well. So I'm happy to share some of these movements and tools and practice with you. So the yoga that I like to share is yoga that's meant for anybody and meant for you to take time to connect, especially in our culture, to put down our phones, to have time for you to check in with yourself and your body. This practice is a mixture of some active, we're going to start standing, and we'll eventually get to some relaxing postures as well. So if you can find yourself in a position where you have room around you to be able to step out, you might have a chair that you can grab onto or anything else that you need. I'm barefoot and I generally practice barefoot. Unless we're staying all low to the ground, you can have socks on. But during this type of practice, it's good to have grip for your feet and for your toes. So just starting like that, actually, walking around a little bit. And so I'm going to turn this way and I'm going to show you that you can try doing different things for your feet, like turning your foot in different ways, putting some of your body's load in, maybe going the other way. And it doesn't matter if you can do it or not, what I'm doing. These are just different things you can try. So now I'm rocking back and forth, checking the mobility in my ankles. And then seeing if you can also come up onto your toes, lift your heels up and down. And then same, stand, spread out, lift your toes up. Keep your heels down. And then bend your knees and come into a little bit of up and down movement. So I'm going to use arms as well because that can help you just get a sense for how you're using your body. So when you bend your knees, arms can swing forward. When you stand up, arms can reach back. And perhaps your breath finds a rhythm with your movement. But even that isn't entirely necessary. So now just stand with your feet about as wide as your hips, maybe a little wider. Hands can start at your chest and begin to put a little bit of pressure, one hand over the other, right at your chest. Take a few deep breaths. So this can be helpful if you just need a moment to calm yourself, if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or anxious. And then we're going to release. You're going to let your arms, your knees get a little bit more bouncy. And then you're going to sway the arms side to side. So this is something that I love to do, letting the arms get heavy and you start to find your own rhythm. So you can see after starting it now for 30 seconds or so, the arms start to get more loose and you can let your wrists tap your body. Shake it out, maybe even little jumps, if that's possible. Okay. Then come to stand firm. After all of that, arms can rest next to you. Feet to the ground. This is your mountain pose. You might even close your eyes. So we've now moved enough that you can think about why you want to move your body, why you want to connect your breath to your movement. Each time you do it and practice yoga or any mind-body practice, you might have different reasons depending on what's happening currently. So you can start to open your eyes and float your arms up. From there, we're going to bend the knees and begin to hinge at the hips to fold forward. So again, if you have a chair around, you could come down to a chair instead of the ground. Keep your knees bent as much as you need to. Let your head come down. And then press into the floor to help you come back up. Come up nice and slow. Let the arms come up however you like. And then lower the arms back down. We're going to try that again. So sweep the arms up. Stay active through your legs as you hinge forward and fold over. So sometimes your hands might be at the back of your thighs. Sometimes you might want your hands to be behind your back or even clasped behind you. And other times just hanging heavy, maybe even letting yourself sway. We're going to stay folded over a little bit more while we take a gentle twist to each side. So we're going to keep left hand out in front of you, pretty much right under your face. And then you can be up on your fingertips, bend your knees, and reach your right arm laterally out to the right and up. After a full breath in and out there, the right arm can float back down. You're going to switch, place the right hand down, left arm reaches out to the left. You can bend your knees a little more. And then release back down. Okay, from here start to press down into the ground to roll back up. Come up slowly. Sometimes you might feel a little bit dizzy when you come up. So give yourself a few shoulder rolls. Make sure you're present and feeling steady on your feet. So now, I'll turn to face this way. Now we're going to try to lift one leg at a time. So you're going to bend one knee, lift it up, and release. Arms can just be out to the side. If you need hands to the hips, that's fine. Other knee lifts up and down. Let's try that on each side. Okay, so now see if you can plant, I'll turn this way, plant into your left foot, bring your right knee up and hold it there. So even if you get a little wobbly, you could use a chair, the wall, but hold your right knee with your right hand and see if the left arm wants to come up, either straight up or against a wall next to you. See if you can press firm through your left foot and get a little taller, a little more active into your leg. And then slowly lower it down. Between sides, I'm going to have you sway your hips, maybe even take some circles with your hips. And now we'll switch. Press firm into your right foot. Float your left knee up. So left hand to left knee, right hand either to a wall, a chair, or straight up. And once you've found it, press firm through the right foot so you get a little higher, a little more connected in. and then release. When you release, same circling of the hips. You can let your toes come up, your arms can move. Kind of like the trees and the plants in the wind. Okay, so the next pose we're going to take, same thing with balance, holding onto the wall or the chair. We're going to take right ankle over left thigh. So this is figure 4 pose, but from a standing position. So it's going to get into your hips. You're going to sink down as much as you can to where it feels steady on your left ankle. If you're able, you can even fold here, maybe take hands down to the ground. Not necessary, just another variation. And then slowly come back up. Switching sides, plant your right foot down. This time just pedal the feet back and forth until you're ready to plug the right foot down. Lift the left ankle up and over the right thigh. Start to sit down into it, standing figure 4. So if you have something next to you, you can hold onto it. Or even if you're doing this like near a bed or a couch, you could put your hands there or come all the way forward. And then press into the floor to help you come back up. Pedal your feet. And now our last standing for now is going to be our tree pose. So I'll turn this way. We can balance on the left foot and bring your right foot up onto the standing leg. So even if you need to start just by keeping your right foot down and opening the hip, that's a good place to start. Just letting your heel be a little kickstand against your leg. If you want, you can slide the foot up. If you feel open enough in your hips, you can reach down and grab the foot and place it even higher up. So wherever you've landed, then you get to bring it up the body and find your branches, so you can have palms together. You could have arms out in any way that feels good. And then release. And we'll switch sides, do it on the other side, so give yourself time to pedal it out. Let your left hip and knee open out first, then begin to find the placement of your foot. So either low on the leg, or you can reach and place the foot higher. So I'll hold this one with the foot a little lower, and then you can find your tree branches. And then release. Okay. So now find one end of your mat, wherever you want to decide is the top of your mat, and you're going to create space to be able to step back from there. So we're going to do one Sun Salutation. So feet apart, sweep the arms up, bend your knees as you hinge at the hips and fold over. Find a way that you can bring at least finger pads to the floor. So bend enough that you can do that, and then step one leg back at a time. So this is down dog, your first downward facing dog. So hands might need a little moving around, same with your feet. And this pose is not to just get your heels down. It doesn't matter about that. It's all about your body and where you need some release. From down dog, you rock forward to your push-up position, plank pose. You can drop to your knees if you need to, and lower all the way down to your stomach. So then once you're down to your stomach, you can wiggle out and find cobra, planting hands to the mat, lifting your chest just enough that you feel your back muscles working, and you're still able to hold it and breathe. And then lower back down. Curl the toes under to help you press into knees and hands, and potentially come back to down dog. From here, the way I like to come up is walking your hands to your feet. So then you're in your forward fold. Press firm through your feet to come back to stand. Arms might then move with you, coming up, hands to your heart. And then you're ready to step forward again. So we'll try that again a little bit later, but first we're going to take a moment to step our feet wide, have right foot forward, left foot back. Just come to a wide stance. And you're going to turn the right foot to face the top of the mat that we just were at. The back foot is on a slight angle. So you want to be wide enough that when you bend into your knee, you feel the stretch in your hips. You don't want to be so wide, right? And you also don't want to be too close where you don't feel it. So you want to figure out the sweet spot. And this is your warrior two pose. So you're bending into your front right knee, left leg is straight. And first see if you tend to lean, or if you tend to stick your hips out in one direction. So that's the beginning part of the pose, just finding your tendency and seeing if you can bring everything to feel a little more steady and balanced, which will look different on each of us. Arms out to the side. Start with your palms down and then try palms up. And so then we're going to pulse with that. Palms up when you bend into the front knee. Then straighten the front leg, palms down. Bend in, flip the palms up. Come out of it, palms down. Try that one more time. And then hands to hips. So now we're just going to swivel the feet and take the left foot for warrior two. So the right foot's on a back angle. The left foot is now facing the other end of your mat, and you're going to bend into that knee. Again, check out where you tend to go with your torso. Just kind of play with it. See what feels good. Stretch the arms out. Rotate the arms a few times, and then we're ready to pulse. So we're going to come out of the pose, palms down. When you come in, flip the palms up. Come out of it, palms down. And so when you come in, really reach out like you're having to reach walls out to both sides. Let's try it one more time. And then hands to your hips. So in between sides now, you'll pivot your feet so the feet are pointing forward, and we're going to bend and reach for the floor. So knees can stay bent, fingers come down to the ground. So right now my hands are out further in front of my chest, and that might help you just to lean forward and decide if you need to keep wiggling the feet to get into a better position. When you found that spot, bend your knees a little bit more and walk your hands potentially closer until maybe you can drop your head down. Other things you could try is reaching for your ankles or reaching your arms behind your back, or maybe even lacing the fingers and stretching the arms up behind you. So just remember to stay present with your needs. If you need to, you could always do this pose up against a wall. Walk your hands further out in front of you to press up a little bit, straighten the arms, and then have the heels turning in just enough that you can bring one hand at a time to each thigh. And so this is like a wide leg squat, and you're putting some pressure into the thighs, straightening the arms if it's okay on your wrists, and stretching out, straightening out through your center. Then press into the floor to help you come up. And we're going to pivot the feet back to the warrior two position. So left foot's on an angle, right foot is facing the top of your mat again. So now you can again come in and out of the warrior two. But then we're going to hold it. See if you can bring right forearm to your thigh. And try just to use that as a marker. So you're using thigh to arm to thigh with equal amount of energy. And then left arm comes up. So this is a side stretch, side waist, lateral stretch. And you can reach that arm all the way over the head or keep it up in the air. And if that feels comfortable, you could take it one step further. Straighten the right leg, reach the hand down to the ankle for a triangle pose. Triangle does get a little trickier, so I tend to keep my head down, looking down at the mat. And then press into the ground to help you lift up. Hands to your hips. Pivot to the other side. Okay. So now you give yourself a moment to pulse and find warrior two again on this leg. You're going to find that position, bring your forearm to the thigh. Again, trying not to collapse into it, but just using it as a marker to open up and away. And you can stay in a deeper lateral stretch or just the arms straight up. And then if you would like to explore triangle pose, look down, straighten the leg as much as you can, bringing the left hand to the left ankle, maybe to the floor, but probably more like the ankle or the shin, and stretching the right arm up. Finding a spot for your head that feels comfortable. And now this time, instead of coming up to stand, you're going to bring that right arm down to the mat and pivot back to your wide leg fold. So now the feet, the toes are facing forward, and you can again drop your head down. And then see if from here you can rock some of your body's weight and load forward onto your hands to be able to come down to your knees from there. So I'm going to turn this way, and we're in table. So now in table pose, take some cat-cow, and you can explore your wrist position in cat-cow. Different angles. Okay, now I'm going to have you step your right foot out to the right, side lunge. But instead of staying in the side lunge, you're going to wiggle the right foot, heel toe, pivoting until the right foot comes up onto your mat. So this low lunge, the hands can be on the inside or framing the foot, depending on your ability. So starting there, you're going to rock back and forth. So when you rock back, see if maybe the right toes want to come up, and you stretch the back of the right thigh. Then when you come forward, see if you want to come as far into the right knee as you can to stretch opposite hip flexor. And so you can move as slow as you need to. And there's a couple of different options. Next, if you feel comfortable, you can come upright in this position. So this is a low lunge with the knee down. Maybe the arms come up. Could be useful to have padding under your left knee. If you feel like today you can come up higher, you'll curl the left toes under, pick the left knee up, stay up on the ball of your left foot, and reach the arms up. Notice your breath and just explore how far you want to come into the lunge. If you want to come pulsing up and down in the lunge, change your arm position. And then we're going to drop back down, hands to the ground, and pivot the right foot back out to the right until you sweep the knee back. Good, so then sway your hips. When you sway your hips to the right, lift your right arm up to the right and back down. When you sway your hips to the left, reach your left arm up to the left and come back down. All right, so now the left side, left foot out to side lunge. Start to wiggle the left foot up onto your mat. So again, hands could be on the inside, or you can frame the foot. It all depends on what your body needs today, and also if you have blocks, if you have other props. So start with the rocking back, left toes come up, stretch the back of the left thigh, and then come forward, deeper into the left knee, maybe lift your chin, rock back, and forth. And this practice is so much about finding your own expression. So don't worry so much about what it looks like for me, because I've been practicing for a really long time. So it's more about what it feels like for you. Okay, so now we're going to bring hands to left thigh and come to stand upright in this low lunge. Maybe the arms come up. And if you feel like you want to come higher into your high lunge, curl the right toes under, pick your right knee up, and explore from there. And eventually release hands back down to the mat. Pivot the left foot out to the side until you can sweep the knee back. Sway the hips. And then come into child's pose or puppy pose. Elbows down, head down. Okay. So from here, you can stay in child's pose, or you can choose to take this movement of poses that often gets strung together in yoga class, yoga practice, which is down dog to your high plank, lower all the way down to your stomach, lift up through your cobra, lower down, and back to down dog. So that's not always necessary, but it sometimes can feel like a nice transition before we start another sequence. So now I'm going to have you come to your seat, and we're going to close this practice with some seated shapes. So we're going to take half butterfly first, right foot in against left thigh. So I'll angle a little bit. And again, you might be sitting up on something, little extra padding of a pillow or a blanket. And first take your hands out in front of you. Lean a little bit in, bend your elbows, and see how that feels. Then come up, and now you'll take a lateral stretch. Left arm down the left leg, right arm up into the air. Come back up, and now you get to turn to your left leg. So this can be the trickiest part, where you turn your torso toward your left leg, frame your leg with your hands. I like to stay up on fingertips, and even if you just bend your elbows slightly, that's where you might feel the forward fold. It doesn't have to be about reaching the foot or coming down into a deep fold. Come back up slowly. Also pay attention to the bent knee. So you can also have the foot further away from you, or even the foot out to the side. I want you just to get comfortable. So we're going to switch sides now. Lean back. Maneuver into the other side. Right leg out, left knee bent, left foot up against right thigh. So we start by crawling the hands out in front of you. Come up. So you're starting to notice the back of the leg and how much you can handle. The right hand goes down the right leg, left arm goes up into the air for a lateral side bend. And then come up and turn to face your right leg. So even if you do need to shift a little bit, you can stay up on your fingertips, bend your elbows, come forward just enough. And then start to slowly come back up. Lean back. So now you can take both legs out wide. And so this is a similar thing. You might want to come forward for a second, arms straight out in front of you, and see, are your legs too wide? Do they need to be shifted in any way? And then come up and see if you can hold yourself with your arms out to the side. So this is taking your core strength. Hold the arms up, maybe even lift the arms up. And then hands down. So you're going to slide one arm down, one leg, come up, slide the other arm down, and just keep going back and forth. And now if you can hold with left elbow resting either on the knee or the shin or the thigh, you're just going to lean a little bit to the side. Maybe even hold your cheek or your head with your hand. And the right arm can just kind of hang out in front of you. And so this is a position that you could come back to. Like, I'm going to move faster through it, but if you feel like it's something you might want to hold longer, you could stay. And then we'll switch sides. Take right elbow down, and maybe you'll hold your head. Left arm can hang out in front of you. So just start with a couple of breaths. But this is one that you could hold for longer, maybe up to 10 breaths. Come back up, hands behind you. You're going to lean back and slowly bend one knee at a time. So when you drag the feet back in, you're going to shift so that you can sway the knees side to side. And one of my favorite things to do here is when, let's say we're going to the right. You're going to go to the right, lean into your right hand, let your left arm drag up into the air and reach out for something, like you're reaching a cup. And then come back to where you were. Lean into your left hand, let your knees drop to the left. Right arm sweeps up into the air. You're going to reach out, grab something, and then come back to where you were. So if that felt good, you could try it again. And then we get to lie down and rest. Okay, so find yourself coming down to the ground. We're going to start with knees, both knees up, and see if you can take little circles in the air with your knee. And then stretch both legs up into the air. And you're going to flex the feet like you're trying to balance something up on the feet, and then point and flex and point. And then we're going to take one leg down at a time. So let's do that twice on each side. And then bend the knees. Bring the feet back to the mat. And we're going to end by holding right knee in, taking hands behind the right thigh, stretching the leg up. And so I'm letting my fingers lace together at the back of my right thigh. Left knee can stay bent if that feels more supportive, but you could also slide the leg long, the left leg long. And just take a few moments to really connect to what's happening in the back of the leg, especially after all the standing poses we did. You might want to move your ankle around. And then bend your right knee. Take your hands away. So even if your knee is bent, you can still do this either way. Without your hands, just your core strength, meaning hip flexors, your back, your abdomen, you're going to pull the right knee closer to you and press the left foot down. So this is isometrics. So if your leg is long, you can press the heel down and then release. So when you let go, give yourself a moment to readjust, to wiggle it out, and then we're going to bend the left knee in. So the right foot can stay to the mat to begin. Hands can lace at your left shin for a second, and then you'll lace the hands behind the left thigh, stretching the left foot, left leg up into the air. So again, the opposite leg can extend down the length of the mat. Maybe move your ankle around, wiggle your toes. And now we'll bend the left knee, take your arms away, your hands away, and use just your center for some isometrics, meaning use your own body's energy and load against the ground, working together. So you're trying to bring left knee closer to your chest. At the same time, you're pressing the right heel down or the right foot down. And then let go. Okay, so for our final resting pose today, I'm going to suggest a reclined butterfly pose. So you could just lay flat. You could also flip to your stomach if you prefer. There's so many ways you could do the final resting pose. I'm going to have soles of the feet together, knees out to the side for reclined bound angle pose, also known as butterfly. Sometimes it's interesting to take your hands to your hip crease, to the thigh and pelvis, and press away from your torso. And just see if that might open up a little space, and then release. Wiggle your shoulders out from under you, and then decide where you want to rest your hands. Try to close your eyes, get comfortable. So scanning your body from head to toe is one way to stay mindful. But another thing you could do, if you struggle with staying still and resting, is to count with your breath. So one of my favorite go-tos is to breathe in to the count of 4. Hold it for 1 second and then let it go. Breathe in to the count of 4. Hold it for a second and let it go. For some of you, letting the exhale go for the same amount of time, 4 counts, is helpful. But another thing you could do is extend it for double the time. So breathing in to the count of 4. Hold it. Let it go to the count of 8. Breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. So let's stay for about another minute. And then when you're feeling ready to move, let your hands lift up away from your body or away from the ground. Move your wrists and your fingers. Maybe let the back of your head rock from side to side. And then start to bring your knees back upright. Maybe even swaying the knees. Eyes can open, or if you're comfortable enough to keep them closed while you roll to your side and come to sit upright, you could do that as well to stay connected to the end of your practice. You'll want to come to find a comfortable position. Shrug your shoulders, turn your head side to side or in little circles. Bring your palms together in front of you. We're going to end this practice by sending the arms straight up in front of you to the sky, then bending the elbows, creating space around you until your hands meet back down in front of your stomach. Palms together, go straight back up the line of your body, and then open out. So your head can move with you. Let's do that one more time. Lift your chin and your face. Open the arms out, bend the elbows, drop your chin, palms together. Your thumb knuckles could come up to your forehead, right at your eyebrow. And just take a minute to acknowledge your current body, your community, and the roots of this practice. Thank you all for joining me. See you next time.